Hey everyone, Christian here, NTY.STUDIO. I have an example of a conversationalist AI agent that we've been making as part of a pipeline. This video is really just a demo of the current state, and there's, I think, seemingly a lot of applications as to where this could be used. In this particular example, the agent is a panel moderator, and I'm going to be taking on the role of all the panelists just for the sake of the demo. I'm running this locally on my PC. And so we have two things going on here. On the right side, we have a front end with a start button, which is just going to open this up so that way I can have a conversation. And then everything that you'll see is real time happening now on the stream right now. And program on the left is Unreal Engine, and we're using MetaHumans for the avatars. So got a couple of things plugged in together, and let's see how this turns out.
Hey there.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Excited to dive into today's discussion. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I got a whole group of people behind me, and I'd say we're pretty excited about learning what the panelists have to say in regards to game design and AI, and learning more.
That's fantastic to hear. It sounds like we have an enthusiastic audience ready to explore the intersections of AI and game design. Let's not keep everyone waiting. First off, I'd like to warmly welcome our panelists today, Asma, Chris, and Dave. It's great to have you all with us. Asma, could you kick things off by introducing yourself and sharing a bit about your background in game development or AI?
Sure. So my name's Asma. My background, I've been in the games industry about 12 years now, and my focus as it relates to AI has largely been in branching narratives in games. So in game worlds itself, when the player sort of enters a space, the role that I've played on the development side is making sure that when a player engages with a character, that the choices the player makes in regards to the character and sort of the narrative driven decisions, that those decisions ultimately influence the relationships subsequently of other characters or factions that they meet in the world. Yeah, excited to share everything I can in regards to that.
Thanks, Asma, for that introduction. It's fascinating to hear about your extensive experience in branching narratives and how player choices impact game dynamics. Your expertise will surely add depth to our discussion on AI in game development. Chris, could you please introduce yourself next? Let's hear about your journey in the gaming industry or AI field.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Chris, nice to meet you all and excited to have everyone here. So, my background in games as it relates to AI has largely been in relation to NPCs and sort of logic in regards to companions and enemies. And this sort of squarely falls in the realm of making sure that when the player meets challenges with enemies, that the challenge is sort of appropriately matched. The enemies aren't so hard that the player can't progress, but they're not so easy that the player feels as though there is no progression. And conversely, with that, on the companion side, making sure that the companion adequately matches the skill level of the player so it feels as though the player isn't being overtaken by the companion or the companion sort of playing into dead weight. So I have a ton of stories and examples as to how that's been applied, but we'll see where we go from there.
Thanks for sharing, Chris. Your work on balancing NPC behaviors to match player skill levels sounds like a crucial element in creating engaging and challenging game experiences. It's clear your insights on AI-driven companion and enemy logic will be invaluable today. Last but not least, Dave, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Sure. So my name is Dave, and interestingly, my background is not in games. I came from the field of autonomous driving, and the work I was doing there was largely in pathing algorithms. And so my route into the games industry was a little different than the rest of the panelists here, where I came to a game studio called Pineapple Express, and they were working on a game called Banana Muffin Top Trail, where they needed pathing algorithms optimized for enemy encounters, where when the enemies would approach the player, as the environment would dynamically change as a result of environmental effects, the enemies needed to recalculate how they were attempting to get to the player.
Wow, Dave, your transition from autonomous driving to game development is quite unique. The application of pathing algorithms from autonomous vehicles to dynamic enemy encounters in games like Banana Muffin Top Trail sounds incredibly innovative. It's a great example of how skills from different tech fields can converge in game development. Now that we've got a bit of background on each of our panelists, let's dive into some questions. Asma, considering your expertise in branching narratives, how do you see AI evolving the way stories are told and experienced within games?
Sure. So I think probably the way that stories may unfold in games, and especially the branching narratives, is largely for a long time, branching narratives to an extent have been pre-scripted entirely, and everything is sort of predetermined. The player have a couple of options in terms of what they can choose in a branching narrative, and ultimately, the branching part is that the story itself or narrative branches based on what the player has selected. But where I think things may go in the future is that the player may have conversations with NPCs, just as we're having now, and ultimately the maybe cultural beliefs, the world beliefs, the sentiment towards a particular group or concept by the individual that the player is speaking to may influence the narrative itself and ultimately how some of the story unfolds in either a local or a global context.
That's a compelling vision, Asma. The idea of AI enabling more dynamic and responsive storytelling where conversations with NPCs can genuinely influence the narrative based on nuanced factors like cultural beliefs or sentiments really opens up new possibilities for immersive game experiences. Sounds like we're moving towards a future where games could offer even more personalized and complex narratives. Chris, building on this idea of evolving.
Cool. So just stop the stream on there on the right. But again, that's what it was, all live. And areas that we're focusing on next at the moment is we do have sort of proper eye tracking working for individuals that are in the scene, as well as making sure that there is more natural eye movement as the conversation's going on. Also working on a system like a sort of set of rules and conditions about the animations that'll play and blending those animations together so that there's more nonverbal communication happening while the talking is going on. And then ultimately performance. That's a big chunk of information to try and pull in. Purposely tried to use silly names for game studios and game examples, and she was able to pick it up and sort of weave it in pretty nicely. So, yeah, that's it. I'll post another update soon, but hope you enjoyed it and be back shortly.